The morning sun rose over the small town of Willow Creek, painting gold on the cracked windows of Ethan Cole's rundown repair shop. He was a man in his early 40s, quiet and gentle, with grease-stained hands and eyes that held too many lonely sunsets. Once he had dreams, a family, a home, laughter. But after losing his wife in an accident 5 years ago, Ethan had chosen solitude. His days were spent repairing cars for people who barely remembered his name. He fixed engines, but his own heart stayed broken. That was until the day a small pink bicycle rolled into his life. The unexpected visitor. It was a chilly afternoon when Ethan heard a timid voice outside. Mister, can you fix this?" He looked up from under a car hood to see a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, holding a small bike with one broken wheel and a dangling chain. Her shoes were muddy, her cheeks flushed from crying. Ethan wiped his hands on a rag and knelt beside her. "What happened here, sweetheart?" "I hit a rock," she sniffled. "Mom's busy. She said to wait, but I wanted to ride to the park myself." Her innocence melted something inside him. Without a word, he smiled softly and said, "Well, lucky for you, I'm the best bike doctor in town." The girl giggled. "Really?" "Absolutely." The gentle fix. Ethan worked carefully, tightening bolts and straightening the bent rim. The little girl, Sophie, she said her name was, stood beside him, watching curiously as he explained each step like it was magic. "See this chain? It's like teamwork. Every link matters. If one breaks, the whole thing stops working." Sophie nodded seriously. "Like people?" He paused, surprised by her simple wisdom. "Yeah, exactly like people." 15 minutes later, the bicycle was good as new. Ethan gave it a spin and smiled. "There you go, partner. Good as gold." Sophie's eyes widened. "How much?" He shook his head. "For you? It's free, but only if you promise to wear a helmet next time." She squealed, hugged him around the neck, and ran off down the street, her laughter echoing through the quiet air. Ethan stood there, watching. For the first time in years, he felt warmth in his chest again. The return. An hour later, the sound of a sleek black car stopped outside the shop. Ethan looked up as a woman in a designer suit stepped out, polished, confident, and visibly upset. "Are you the man who fixed my daughter's bike?" she asked sharply. Ethan hesitated. "Yes, ma'am. She said she needed help." "I didn't give anyone permission," the woman said coldly. "You could have hurt her." Ethan nodded, quietly taking the blame. "You're right. I just didn't want her to cry." Before she could reply, Sophie came running from the car. "Mom, don't yell at him. He was nice. He fixed it for free." The woman froze. "For free," she repeated softly, her tone changing. "You didn't charge her?" Ethan shrugged. "It was just a small fix. Kids deserve kindness too." For a long moment she just stared at him, this lonely man in a grease-stained apron, standing in a shop that smelled of oil and effort. Something shifted in her expression. I'm sorry," she finally said. "I shouldn't have jumped to conclusions." She reached into her purse and pulled out a checkbook, but Ethan raised a hand. "Please don't. Just make sure she rides safe." Sophie hugged her mother's leg and whispered, "Mom, he said every chain link matters, like people." The woman's eyes welled up. She knelt, looking Ethan in the eyes. "You're right, Mr. Cole. Ethan Cole." "Mr. Cole," she said softly. "You just reminded me something money made me forget." The twist. A week later, Ethan's small shop was busier than ever. Cars lined up outside, and a local reporter showed up asking for a story. Confused, Ethan turned on the TV that evening, and there she was. Clara Mitchell, the billionaire CEO of a major company, was on the news. She was talking about rediscovering kindness in unexpected places and announced a new community initiative to support small-town workers. The first partner listed, Ethan's garage. When she visited again, she smiled warmly. "Consider this a thank you. You didn't fix just a bicycle. You fixed something far bigger." Ethan woke the next morning to the familiar scent of oil and metal, but something felt different. There was a lightness in the air, a quiet sense of purpose that hadn't been there before. The town that had long passed by his garage without a glance now seemed to take notice. People waved as they walked past. A few stopped to ask about tire repairs or oil changes. Even the coffee shop across the street sent him a free cup that morning. "From a grateful neighbor," the note said. He didn't know it yet, but Clara Mitchell's televised interview had gone viral. Her words about the lonely mechanic, who reminded me what kindness looks like, had spread across social media. People had searched for him, shared his story, and praised the simplicity of what he had done, fixing a little girl's bike, expecting nothing in return. By the afternoon, a line of customers stretched outside his shop. They didn't all come for repairs. Some just wanted to shake his hand. "You're the man from the news," one woman said. "We need more people like you around here." Ethan smiled awkwardly, not knowing what to say. He'd never liked attention. He only knew how to work, to build, to fix. But for the first time in years, he didn't feel invisible. A familiar laughter caught his attention. Sophie was there again, holding her pink bike, the one he had fixed. "Mr. Cole," she called, running toward him. Clara followed behind, dressed more casually this time. No designer jacket, no rushed expression. "I told Mom I wanted to come say hi," Sophie said proudly, "and to bring you this." She handed him a small paper bag tied with a ribbon. Inside was a simple sandwich, a cookie, and a note written in a child's handwriting. "Thank you for fixing my bike, and my Mom's heart." Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat. "You didn't have to do this," he murmured. Clara smiled gently. "Maybe not, but sometimes gratitude shouldn't wait." She paused, glancing around the humble garage. "I wanted to ask you something. I'm starting a small community program, fixing up old bikes and giving them to kids who can't afford them. Would you consider running it?" Ethan blinked in disbelief. "Me?" "You," she said simply. "You have the heart for it. I can handle the funding, but I need someone who knows how to bring things and people back to life." He hesitated, the memories of long, lonely nights flickering in his mind. Then he looked at Sophie's smiling face, and the answer felt easy. "I'd be honored." Weeks passed, and the old garage began to change. The peeling paint was replaced by a fresh coat of blue. A new sign appeared over the entrance. Cole & Co., restoring wheels, restoring hope. Kids started coming in every weekend, learning how to fix their own bikes. Ethan would teach them how to tighten a bolt, patch a tire, and without realizing it also teach them about patience and care. He watched them laugh, argue, and help one another, just like those chain links he talked about. Clara often visited, sometimes staying to help, other times just watching quietly from the corner as Sophie pedaled in circles around the lot. There was something grounding about being there, something money couldn't buy. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the last kid left for home, Clara turned to Ethan. "You know," she said softly, "when Sophie came home that day, I was furious. I thought I was protecting her, but I was just too busy protecting myself, from slowing down. You reminded me of something I forgot long ago." Ethan smiled faintly. "Sometimes it takes a few broken things to remind us what's worth fixing." Clara nodded, her eyes glistening. "You fixed more than a bike that day, Ethan. You fixed us." He looked around the workshop, the hum of crickets outside, the scent of grease and paint blending into the evening air. For the first time in years, he didn't feel lonely. He felt connected to the people around him, to the world, to something bigger than his own pain. And as Sophie's laughter echoed down the street, Ethan knew one thing for sure. A single act of kindness had started something that no amount of money ever could. A chain reaction of hope. Because just like he told that little girl, every link matters.